Yo, what's good? Happy Friday, everybody. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the channel on this Friday night, which will be one of two regularly scheduled live events moving forward. Every Wednesday night and Friday night, we're going to jump on the live, maybe some impromptu stuff in between, but definitely for certain Wednesdays, Fridays, and maybe once or twice a month, I'm going to do a live stream solely for the members. So I definitely appreciate everybody, the members, the channel subscribers, the people who like, comment, watch, view, all of that good stuff. Hit the dislike button. Either way, I rock with all of y'all. Now, this week is going to be our Henyard recap. Now, it was some things that happened and some things that didn't happen, like the township meeting that we'll talk about. Sorry, my phone is going off. Some things that didn't happen, like the township meeting that we will talk about, but it's all just a mess. We got to dive in. Now, the cover story on the thumbnail is going to be the last thing we talk about today because I have an interesting take on that one that I haven't heard anybody talk about, and I want to get y'all opinion on. Hey, as always, if you get some value out of this content, like, share, subscribe, and the whole nine. And it's free. So, hey, easy way to support the channel. And I always got to toss out a disclaimer. I'm a licensed attorney, licensed in several jurisdictions. None of those jurisdictions amount to me being your counselor at law. So, long story short, if you're looking for legal or financial advice or anybody, make sure you find a professional in your area. This is just infotainment purposes as I give my opinion on takes and topics. And as always, we got to make sure that we give a shout out to the first comment of the day. So, hey, appreciate you, Maddie, for dropping the first comment of the day. Salute to you. Much appreciated as well. Now, we are going to start with Facebook Live. We did a video earlier this week. I thought it was an interesting video to do where we just kind of went through the agenda for the Thornton Township meeting. Now, there's going to be some interplay between Tiffany Henyard and her supervising trustee role and as her mayor role. But I want to make sure we kind of bifurcate the two so we know exactly what we're talking about here. Now, this week was supposed to be a Thornton Township meeting. We went over the agenda. We actually played a game of when will the drama start and how will the trustees vote. And shout out, I can't remember who, but somebody in the comments said there's not going to be no meeting. And lo and behold, there was no meeting. So some of the trustees sat out. They cited various issues, most mainly safety. They talked about meeting in a different place, and we were going to be in this room, and they're going to be in this room. So it got kind of weird and kind of funky. But after that, Tiffany Henyard did a live stream on Facebook. And of course, I didn't watch that whole thing because it was over an hour long. But I skipped through and I pulled out some parts. So we're going to dive in. We're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover the property tax, uh, item that she had on the agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about some empty threats for lawsuits and arrests. We're going to talk about a plethora of things. There's probably about 5 points in this video where we're going to pick up from. Again, we are not watching this video for over an hour long of this woman talking. But I will tell you, I can see how she can kind of pull the wool over someone's eyes who isn't informed. She got that kind of urban hood politician talk that make people be like, yo, she might be legit. So I got to give her a little bit of credit. I can see how she can snatch up an uninformed person into perceiving that she's a good manager of resources of a municipality. But let's go ahead and cue this video up so we can jump in. I don't want to keep y'all long. That's hilarious that it just paused right there. But we're going to cue this video up. And I'll be honest, I wrote some notes on my phone, but I just wrote the minute marker and I can't recall what the hell they were talking about. So let me go ahead and pull my notes out so I have it in front of me. All right, I got my notes in front of me. All right, so this first marker is the 4:30 marker. Let's go ahead and cue it up. And I didn't. I probably should have put a subject on there, but we'll talk about it when we talk about it. And I think I know what the first topic is, but let's just go ahead and play.
Stay positive and focus along the way, because a lot of times people try to take your joy, people try to take your self-esteem. Don't let them, because mental illness is real. And I want to make sure you understand it is so real, guys, that you just got to check on each other, check on that neighbor. And like I always say, tell that dog to stop boo-booing in that neighbor's yard, because they mad at y'all about that.
That's
Stop.
hilarious.
I hear that a lot. Stop. Go make men's or make a relationship with the person next door, because they too have feelings. But just try to make it right while you can. Don't wait. Don't put out what you can do today for tomorrow, because sometimes tomorrow may never ever come. So I just want to point that out. So let me straight back to this meeting. So today we had a scheduled board meeting here at the township. The only trustee that showed up was Darlene Gray Evers, myself, and the clerk. Of course, all the media, right? They come always for the mess, but never come for the great things that we do at Thorton Township. Chris Gonzalez was a no-show, and so was Carmen the liar. She was a no-show. I want people to know that safety is my top priority. We made sure security was in the building. We made sure that they had wands. We made sure that everybody's safety was number one. So people entered the building, and like they say, it was only a few people. It was not thousands or hundreds of people here at the township board meeting, but they did not show up, cause us to cancel the meeting due to lack of a quorum. And we don't have a quorum. For those that understand how a board meeting goes, you got to have a quorum in order to conduct the business and vote on the business. We did not have one, so we canceled it. But I did say this. Please hear me when I say this. Stop playing these games. It's so many games going on, guys, that y'all don't even know about. Y'all don't ever even hear me just come out and talk like this. And that, I promise you, the news gonna take it, chop it up, do whatever they will with it. But stop playing games.
All right, so the first thing I'll talk about with that clip right there, y'all let me know in the comments the fact that township meetings are getting canceled because people are either not showing up, or an alternative, they're in another room and they're saying the meeting should be here versus there. Who do you all think this is a benefit for? Because I I I, I have to be honest, and I saw a video where Chris Gonzalez talked about the overall safety, and he specifically said, "I'm not really concerned with my safety more so than the safety of my peers." Long story short, I believe it's Kiana Belcher, if I'm not mistaken. I think she has a restraining order against Keith Price, who is the food pantry guy, if I'm not mistaken, who frequents meetings. And so I believe that that's what Chris Gonzalez was talking about. But I'm just going to, I don't know. I think that them doing this is something that is pretty unsustainable. And I think there is some gamesmanship being done by the trustees with the not showing or saying that there's someone else. I Carmen, that's who it was. I couldn't remember. I knew it was one of those CKs, one of those. But I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship. I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on. And I do think if this failure to attend the meetings on behalf of the trustees, whether it's for security or whatever the reasons is, I think if this is prolonged, I think that it actually is something that's probably going to sour people against them. Because one of the things we got to realize is Tiffany Henyard has a bigger microphone than most of the trustee members. I think it's just obvious. She could go. I actually looked at this video. It's actually on her Facebook. And if you will, on her Facebook page now, and if we actually zoom out, you can see some of the comments. As just as many videos as you all see saying that Tiffany Henyard is trash, there's probably an equal amount of videos saying that she's actually outstanding and doing a great job. So me personally, I believe that the trustees' failure to figure out how they're going to address this meeting situation and not having these meetings, I think the longer it goes, the more it's going to be much more of a issue for the trustees, because I do think it gives the appearance that they don't want to get business done. I understand that they're making safety concerns, but they got to do something to figure it out. You can't keep having these meetings canceled because with her ringing a horn and sounding the alarm of, yo, these people not showing up, they not trying to handle the business, which is the budget or all the other things. Whether she's saying it sincerely or not, I think it is something that's just kind of viable a point. Now, I do agree. Shout out to everybody in the chat, Kendall, Sims. Hey, I do agree that, yo, hey, clown behavior. I'm not saying that it's not clown behavior, but I will say that the trustees have to figure something out because they can't continue to miss meetings citing safety, safety, safety. It's just not going to be a smart move to do politically. And I mean, they're speedballing to the February 5th or the February 25th election date, and it's just going to be a bad look over the long term. I just don't think it's sustainable. That's my take. I'm not saying she's great at anything, but I will say the trustees got to figure something out. They can't keep missing these fucking meetings or showing up in another room. They got to figure out a way to either have the meetings and use the majority of the votes that they have to get their agenda done, or in the alternative, they got to figure out a way to, when they miss these meetings, they can't keep citing the same damn thing. I think it's just going to be a bad look. Yeah? It's almost like they're stalling. Yeah, I mean, hey, a broken clock is right twice a day, and I think if they keep going this route, it's going to be something that hurts them and gives her more strength and ammunition. So that's my position on that. Now we're going to move to the 8:51 minute mark. Let's go ahead and find the 8:51 minute mark. And we're going to go ahead and get to the 8:51 minute mark and jump to this next subject.
Now you have a surplus thanks to who? Your super mayor, your supervisor, Tiffany.
The surplus for the Thornton Township. It would be great if they have a surplus. I just don't think anything has been corroborated yet. It's all just kind of lip service until we actually see some numbers.
Yeah, you, the people supervisor. So won't you talk about my accolades in my business degree and all the other accolades that I pose here as a supervisor? But no, we're going to get to that later because I can go on for that for about an hour. Actually, the things that I've done that's productive here at the township. Did you know that over 20%, only 20% knew about Thornton Township? Did you know now today over 80% knows that Thornton Township exists?
Shout out to her. That's a good point. I didn't know Thornton Township existed. So, hey, I got to give her credit. She definitely put the village of Dalton and Thornton Township on the map for good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want to call it.
Shit. The whole world knows Thornton Township exists. Look at that. So now you guys are utilizing all the services here. And that's what I'm so proud of, because before no one knew. No one came out. No one knew what to do. Only a select few knew, because that's how it was. It's like a little, I don't want to call it boys, because like a little club. But now everybody knows. And that's another reason why people are ahead, because now I'm helping the people. I'm giving back to the people where it should always been. It should not be about people and their friends, people when give me a contract, hook my friend up with a job. It should not be that. It should be, if you're qualified to do the job, you get the job.
All right. That's exactly where I wanted to pause that at, because I actually thought that was interesting. Shout out to everybody who joined the chat as well. And hey, salute. Yeah, I couldn't get through playing that whole thing. Like I just can't do it. I tried to do it once before, and the shit was just too ridiculous. So shout out to you, and hey, shout out to me. But I wanted to pause that right there because I thought that was an interesting point. Actually, let me put it in a smaller frame real quick. Let's see if we can get that last few seconds back. Let's see if we get that last few seconds.
Where it should always been. It should not be about people and their friends, people when give me a contract, hook my friend up with a job. It should not be that. It should be, if you're qualified to do the job, you get the job. That's it. But guess what? That's in a real world, right? And that's what I thought I was living in.
I just find that so interesting that that's a point that she actually brings up, considering her attempts to make appointments of people who didn't even get confirmed by the board of trustees. But more importantly, I think we all see some evidence, whether it's in her capacity as supervisor, whether it's in her capacity as mayor, where she is probably one of the biggest proponents of, yo, I'm gonna hook my people up with a job, even though they may not qualify for the job. I think her boyfriend right now is under a high level of scrutiny for having a six-figure job, over $100,000 a year, and people are pretty much scrutinizing, one, whether he's actually qualified to do the job or the position that he's currently sitting in. And then the second thing that's at issue is this guy actually doing the job? Those type of giving people positions, even though they may or may not be qualified or deserve the position, it is just something that goes on all the time in politics. It's kind of a benefit of being in certain positions where you can just do a direct appointment, don't have to do anything, no hiring process. It doesn't have to be competitive. But I thought that I literally just went to that timestamp because I was like, I just find that egregious. Like, it's what's the old saying? Is like the pot calling the kettle black. Like, yo, you saying it shouldn't be about hooking up your friends, but you are probably one of the most direct abusers of hooking up your friends and family. You got the friends and family plan where you just give away things to people who probably don't deserve it. So I thought that was interesting that she even talked about that, because clearly she knows the right thing to do. It's just a matter of either one, she's just willfully ignoring it, or which I think is probably willful ignorance. But the other thing is she really think these guys are qualified? I don't know if that's the case, but it got to be one of the two. I'm leaning towards willful ignorance and just usurping her authority, saying, yo, I have the authority to put this person in this position. I'm going to do it because nobody's going to check me. Yeah. So I talked about okay, let me go and hit this comment real quick. So I talked about how only a narcissist would sit and talk for an hour and 40 minutes without a single reply from anyone else. She is crazy. That's a fair point. But I will tell you, if let me see if I could. Let me see something real quick. Okay, like I didn't watch it live, but they'll show some of the comments. If we were to reduce the screen size, you can see the comments that they were going. And I'll be honest, like probably like 80% of the comments were like all positive. Like, so as wild as she is, she probably has an equal amount of actual supporters as she has people who are opposed to her and what she's doing. But yeah, hour and 40 minute with very little to no interaction is really tough. Hey, your boy used to do a lot of lives where I was only talking to myself. So I definitely understand. Now we're gonna take a big skip to the 40-minute mark. So let's go ahead and jump to the 40-minute mark. What's up? You good? You about to do what? What you using that for? Oh, okay. I about to say, I thought you was about to get in there or something. I was about to start laughing. All right, let's go to the 40-minute mark. A little bit before the 40-minute mark. We go. All right, right here. This we'll pick up. Let's go ahead, make it a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on.
Story. Keyword my story, not what you think, what you might have heard. Because when I talk, I like to talk with truth. I like to talk with evidence. I don't just go out here like all of them do. They just, I think, maybe allege. No. This stuff you can take to the bank. This is facts. This ain't that. I will be seeking.
It's funny because she said that like she was like she had some papers or something that she was ruffling. I wish she would have held up whatever she was asserting to be facts. But it sounded like she was patting on the desk and there was some papers ruffling or something like that. But when someone says, yo, I'm standing on facts and business, and they never like hold up the documents to support the facts of business, they probably not standing on business. Just as a
Now
rule of
cut
thumb.
this. All right, now she said this sound bite, and I take this and put it with this. No. And that's why I stated before that I was going to give exclusive to one person that's willing to tell my story, keyword my.
That's
my story.
crazy.
Not what you think, what you might have heard. Because when I talk, I like to talk with truth. I like to talk with evidence. I don't just go out here like all of them do. They just, I think, maybe allege. No. This stuff you can take to the bank. This is facts. This ain't that. I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges. It's a lot. And that's just me telling you a little bit.
Really, that's all I wanted from that clip because I'm so confused as to what her end game is. Like she's seeking arrest or pressing charges. Essentially, if she's saying, I can't even get the shit out. It's just so ridiculous. But essentially, if you're making that accusation, you're saying that someone is doing something criminal or has done something criminal. Unless you want to go full blown batshit crazy and just like, you know what? I just want people to get arrested just for saying anything counter to what I believe. But I can't see anything from any news story that we have that denotes any of the trustees up until this point have done something that may have been criminal. I mean, even if it only claimed that she may have, with let's say she wants to say that they're filing frivolous lawsuits against her. Even if that's the case, that's not something that's going to be an actual criminal charge. That'll be something that's handled by the court. Like, yo, this person is filing frivolous lawsuits, and the court will be like, yo, this lawsuit is whack, and end up throwing it out. So I was just a little bit concerned and a little bit confused as to what conduct, because she never says it. She makes these assertions without no basis in fact, even though she's banging papers on the desk as if she's standing on a fact. But she makes these assertions, but she didn't identify anything criminal that potentially was done. I mean, the only thing that I could think of is, maybe a civil case for like slander or defamation. The only problem with that is the things that people are saying appear to be true, and truth is an absolute defense to defamation or slander. So I'm kind of confused as to why she would want to go down this road of trying to, I guess, potentially throw her political ops into custody or under the bus. That's real Trumpian, but she has no basis in fact to even consider or say anything like that. So let's go to the next point. We're gonna go to the 52-minute mark because it's just so easier. It's just so much easier to jump around. Let's go to the 52-minute mark. Then I'm gonna jump in the comments real quick. All right, let's see what we got. Shout out to Traveling Mom. That's hilarious that she does that a lot. Hey, you got to say that you're standing on business even when you don't have proof of the business that you're standing on. So, I mean, and it's just a little bit of smoke and mirrors. And unfortunately, there's some people who are going to be uninformed who are going to believe it. We are all confused when she starts talking. Yeah, that was a little weird. Traveling Mom, I'll repeat. She is crazy. She always the victim and under attack. It's never that she did anything despite the dozens of lawsuits, accusations, and claims of retaliatory behavior. I'm gonna give her a pass on when we get to the eviction at the end. That's gonna be the last thing I'm gonna cover. But y'all probably disagree with my take on that. But we're gonna dive in and talk about it. It was one point in this video I didn't mark it down, but let me go ahead and talk about it now before we watch this next clip. It was one point in this video where she did something that I don't really like. Like, I'm not a fan of identity politics in any form. Long story short, what she did, and I didn't mark this point down in the video, but there was a point in the video where she talked about how the trustees are lying on her, the media is out to get her, and there's all these false accusations being tossed around. And then she dove into how she's the youngest person in both of these roles and a female. And she wanted to lean heavily on the female card. Like, yo, ladies, I'm talking to y'all. She said something to the effect of, ladies, I'm talking to y'all. It could be me today, and the way they're treating me, they can treat you tomorrow. And I think that's the absolute fucking worst. Like, I'm not a fan of the identity politics trying to get people on your side by saying, if they doing this to me, they could possibly do it to you. Well, the only way that they would do it to you is if you was misappropriating a bunch of money for a job or a municipality where you had an obligation to do the right thing with the money. And it appeared by all the evidence we currently have in front of us that you aren't doing the right thing. But I'm never a fan of, you see it all. I mean, I guess I would do it. Hey, I guess it's bad. I guess maybe if, I don't know, maybe if I was caught up in some drama like Eric Adams or this mayor or one of the plenty of mayors, I guess maybe I would stand up on a soapbox and be like, oh man, they discriminating against me because I'm a black man and they always want to oppress the black man. But I'm do oppression of people of certain race, cultures, religions happen? Absolutely. But do people who got themselves into some fuck shit under their own volition try to use this as a crutch? All the goddamn time. So when they do it, it makes it disingenuous for someone who has a legitimate concern where there's some discrimination based on race, gender, age, or something like that. So I'm never a fan of when people do that shit. She went on a whole tirade in this video talking about how she's a woman and how they're attacking her because she's a woman and women should stand together and unite. That's all bullshit. That's the same as anytime a politician get caught up, they end up going to every Baptist church in their neighborhood and stepping in the pulpit and trying to galvanize the black community to support him. Like, that's such a 1987 way of approaching a controversy or an issue that you created due to your own conduct. If Belcher has a restraining order on Pantry Boy and she attended the meetings, wouldn't she have to remove himself, by the way, watching from New Zealand? Shout out to New Zealand. It was Carmen who had the restraining order. And I don't know. I gathered it because I saw an interview where Chris Gonzalez was saying that there was a safety concern, but he specifically wasn't concerned for the safety of himself. He was concerned for the safety of his colleagues. So I assumed it was the situation with Carmen and this restraining order that she has against Pantry Boy. So I don't know if she attended the meetings. Wouldn't he have to remove himself? By the way, I mean, technically, because with a restraining order, well, restraining orders are interesting because generally, yes. Okay. When you have a restraining order, that restraining order says, yo, you can't be within 500 feet of this person. And I've seen, this is terrible. It's not a laughing thing, but I've seen restraining orders like the judge reads and upholds restraining orders to the letters of the law. I've seen two individuals have a restraining order. Individual A has a restraining order against individual B. Individual A calls individual B over to the house to fix some shit. Something happens later on down the road that isn't to the liking of individual A, and they call the authorities and be like, yo, last Wednesday, this dude was in here fixing the plumbing under the sink, even though I invited him, and the judge will still hold them in contempt for violating that restraining order. But that is a good point. If she's there, he can't be around her. The onus generally would be on him to leave. But what probably would be done, they probably wouldn't do it because nobody does anything right in all of these stories. But normally what you would do is, if I were advising someone who was in that situation, hey, I have a client and a member of the trustee board has a restraining order against him, and this is a meeting that's actually open to the public. Well, the argument would be, well, okay, she's serving in her professional capacity. She does have a restraining order against me, but I am a member of the township. I'm a member of the village, whichever one he is. He does have a legitimate right to be there. because there is some type of security, and from what I got in the comments, it looked like the security is actually law enforcement. Normally, what they would do is just they call up, coordinate with law enforcement, and because law enforcement will already be on site, they probably wouldn't have to, leave the premises to be that 300 or 500 feet away because they contacted law enforcement. They let them know beforehand they were going to be there. There's an active law enforcement duty officer there. Not to mention there's a gazillion cameras. So if somebody do something stupid, it's going to be evidence galore. But that is a good point. That is a good point, fair point. But practicality, it could be an easy fix, presumably. But generally, if he didn't call anybody and she showed up, he would probably have to leave. I would advise him, yo, if you go to this meeting, pantry boy, and she's there and you haven't made accommodations with law enforcement to be there, you need to get the fuck out of there. Because all it takes is her calling saying, hey, this dude's violating this restraining order because he knew I was going to be at this location. So that is a very good point. Shout out to you for that comment. That was a good comment or a good point that we had to talk about. All right, so let's go into the next section of the video. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Prima Donna, for tuning in? All right, let's get to the next point in this video. I think we already on it. Is the 52-minute mark. So let's go ahead and dive in.
It do, but for me, it's just your time. That's it. Because time is the only thing you cannot ever get back. But whatever you make time for is the thing you care about the most. Remember that. People that make time for you, that means you're special to them. I make time for all my residents. They can love on me, hug on me. And guess what? People tell me, why you hugging up people? Why you touching up people? That's just me. I want to give them my energy. I want to rub my energy off on them. So now they can go rub on somebody else and give them that energy. Because right now, we have to uplift one another. We are in a war.
I gotta be honest too, okay, real quick. I gotta be honest. I know y'all probably gonna give me some slack. What's going on, Royster? I appreciate you for tuning in. Does she look under there? I mean, I can't judge it because every video I see, she always looks stressed out or bothered or angry. So I'm that. I don't think I've ever seen her at a state of just being peaceful and tranquil. And I don't know what her homeostasis is. I don't know what her everyday normal mood is because everything I see is a news story or YouTube video or article where she just kind of maybe going off the hinges. But I'm gonna just be honest. Let's just keep it a buck here. If she didn't have all of the accusations of mismanagement, misappropriations, strong arming people, if all of this wasn't there and she actually was like a B minus C plus at her job, I'm gonna be honest, she does have qualities that would probably make her very, very fucking popular within her community. She's from the community, she's pretty much a lifetime resident. She went to school, came back to the community, came in local politics. She has it's like a snake oil salesman. She has an innate ability to say things to sway persons who may not be fully informed that she is seeking their best interest. So, as terrible as she is at some things, she does have some things that are valuable to her and are going to make the election interesting. Because I'm going to just be honest, I don't think it's a given that she's going to get blown out of the water. I got a whole separate video I'm going to do on that. I got to look at some election data from the village of Dalton with regard to who voted and what the percentages are. But I just don't think that she's necessarily going to get blown out of the water. That's my personal take.
As it relates to people just being negative, oh my God, it's a spiritual war. Spiritual war. And if you're not spiritual, get off my line. Don't even comment down there because I don't need your hate. We are under attack. Yes, me, but you as well. If I'm under attack, we under attack. Because again, I am you, you are me. If they attack me, what makes you think they're not going to do you the same way? When I say attack, I'm smelling all the hate and negativity and never get a positive story about nothing great that we do. These are all the things that's going on. And I'm going to just say this. I am giving away, and it ain't just me. I'll say we, Thornton Township, under my supervisor position, GA is giving away $2.2 million.
Now let's pay attention to this because this is going to be a big talking point when we close this thing out and talk about the eviction, because that's the main story for the show, but we're going to close it out with that. So she's giving away $2.2 million. Make sure you pay attention to this part.
Tax refund. You know why I'm doing that? Because I heard your cries. You all said property taxes went up all over. And they did, all over. But a lot of people don't know how to read the property tax bill. On your bill, just so you understand how this works, on your property tax bill, it's so many different government bodies that.
She mad insulting too. A lot of people don't know how to read the property tax bill. It's a property tax bill. It's not written in like, I don't know, like Aramaic or something like that.
Take a portion of your tax proceeds. One is the school board. Two, library board, park board, South Suburban College, that board, your village or your city, Mosquito Bay. Everybody takes a portion of your property taxes. And that's what makes up the property tax, the amount, whatever the amount is. Just say $3,000. But it's a portion of everybody. Oh, in Thornton Township.
And remember, when we went through the agenda, we had some questions about the property taxes and how it would play out. Somebody did hit me up and they said that this is actually someone who is a member of the township. They said that a proposal like this has happened before. They said the amount was, I wouldn't say it was nominal, but they said the amount was something, I think they said $125 that each homeowner got, or something to that effect. But they said it is not uncommon. This is something that happened in the township before.
But did you know that Thornton Township only takes 5 cents? Remember that? I think it was a paper that we put out. And we said Thornton Township only makes up 5 cents per dollar. So some residents that seniors are on senior freezes. Some residents that senior pay $1 or $5. Did y'all know that? I know y'all didn't. But that's the truth.
I know y'all didn't.
And the 5 cents that we take, our portion here at Thornton Township, I'm going to give it back to you. And I'm going to give it all back to you. 100%.
Wow.
$2.2 million coming back to you, residents of Thornton Township. Just so you know, you must be a homeowner. You must be a homeowner. You cannot be a landlord. Don't call my phone. Be like, but I rent. Okay, that means you're an investor. You got money.
All right. So, one of the questions I had when we were talking about this on the agenda, hey, credit to her. She provided a little bit more detail. I think what she mean by you must be a homeowner is it must be your domicile, a place where you rest your head. If it's an investment property for you, you either fall at the back of the priority or you won't actually get this benefit, which I think that makes sense. I mean, it depends. I would probably, if I were writing this bill, I would probably say you have to be a homeowner clearly within the township parameters. It has to be the priority would be people who are primary residents. So if you're primary residents, you can get it. Or if you hold the property as an investment property, but your primary residence is still located within the township. Because the key is if you're an investor and you still live within the township, you got to vote. And I would want to get that or have that support if I could garner it later on down the line. But she is providing a little bit of clarity here on how it's going to work. It only applies to persons who are homeowners and persons who use their home as their primary residence, not investment properties.
This is strictly for those that is vested, not invested, vested in the township, their home. So that's coming down the pipeline. That was on the agenda this evening. And that's what I'm talking to y'all about people not coming to take care of the business, but allowing the business to handle them by not showing up. It was up for a vote this evening to give away the $2.2 million that we have now started as it relates to, we're going to do intake. So all you got to do is just sign up, and the money's yours, as long as you're a homeowner and you have a homeowner's exemption, I believe, from Cook County. So stay tuned to that. But again, there's a lot of great things that I had on this agenda.
All right, so she's talking about the agenda. I think one is probably a terrible idea. We talked about this when we went over it in the video we did earlier this week when we went over the agenda. I just don't see how it could be beneficial if I don't know for certain that the Thornton Township actually has this $9 million surplus that she is asserting or purporting to be true. One, I just don't know if it's accurate. So if I don't know if a surplus doesn't exist, I'm going to lean on the fact that I'm going to lean more towards the fact that she says it's $9 million, it's probably like negative $6 million. Just when we look at what her track record is by overseeing the fiscals of the village of Dalton, and they are in a big ass hole. So I think it's an absolute terrible idea. I think any benefit that they get out of it would be minuscule. And I think at the end of the day, if you get back your taxes, your property taxes you paid now, all that means is they're probably going to come back and recoup that plus a little bit more further on down the road. Plus, the other thing that we talked about is a township. One of the ways that a township makes money, the most important and the majority of its money, is through property taxes. Without that, you're creating a hole for important infrastructure things that need to be done. So I generally think it's a bad idea to approve such a measure, not knowing the fiscal health of the township. But I will tell you, she is making a great point for the person who's listening to this and is uninformed. She's saying all the things that no matter how much of a person is a person, no matter how much a person may be a crook and may be shady as hell, some things people are doing right. A swindler has to have some gift of gab to be able to get you to invest money. Bernie Madoff had to have some gift of gab and some salient talking points to get people to give this dude millions of fucking dollars, and he was just using it to live a balling ass lifestyle. The same thing holds true for her. All people are going to hear, if they're uninformed as to what's going on, is $2.2 million tax refund that I want to give back to homeowners. I'm a homeowner. It applies to me. It's my primary residence. And these guys aren't showing up, and this has been put on the agenda, and they aren't showing up to get business done. So I didn't watch this entire video, but there are some segments that she is putting the proper spin on that's going to make it look as if she is actually looking out for the best interests of some of the people in Thornton Township. Again, I'm not saying that she's I don't want her as my mayor or on my city council, but I will say some of the things that she's saying she's putting a proper spin on this to an uninformed person is just going to make the trustees look like they're the ones that holding things up, in my personal opinion. Let's go and look at some of these comments real quick before we get back into it. I agree that she's a people person that could be very likable. It's the attitude and the lying that's the problem. I agree with that 100%. That is an absolutely accurate comment. Again, you took the words right out of my mouth. Let's see. She's a crook, plain and simple. She is, but every crook has to have an ability to finesse people. You think like I represented a guy who had a cult and like multiple wives, and it was like a murder charge. And you would be like, man, this guy is crazy. He's a lunatic. What black? I didn't even know black people had cults. So you would think this guy was a lunatic, but no, he had one of the most easygoing personalities you would ever meet. And that's how people who are criminal minded, they have to have a method to be able to lure in a victim. It could be their personality, it could be their looks, it could be their gift of gab, it could be their ability to relate. A lot of times you see people target their community. I got this real estate fund I want to start for the black people because we got to stand up for the brother man, not the other man. Or you see somebody run to the church. This is an investment because God wants to look out for his people in the Christian community. People have to have some vehicle to be able to pull the wool over your eyes or get their victims. So even though, hey, I'm not saying she's not a crook, I'm just saying that she does have some traits that are positive when it comes to relating to people. What's going on? What's going on, Monica? Thanks for tuning in. Her talking points never change. Yeah, it's the same thing. Y'all not handling business. Y'all lying on me. But I think what we started off with, the trustees at some point, they got to figure out how to bring their ass to this meeting or how to facilitate a meeting. I don't care if they got to vote on an ordinance to bring an additional private security contractor in so that the trustee who feels like their security and safety is at risk could feel safe, because at some point they got to show up to get shit done, or the narrative that's going to be painted against them is what's going to look like is truth. I mean, yeah, reality, people believe what they see. If they always see one person there and saying, I got this on the agenda, that on the agenda, and nobody's showing up, that's going to be what they perceive as fact. So the trustees got to figure out how to move, in my opinion. It's the corruption for me. 100% agree. Yeah, less than $100. Okay, it was less than 100. I think I saw in the chat somewhere where somebody said like 125 or 150. Less than $100, it is not even worth it for the future tax implications that it's going to cause. And again, like I said, if you don't know the health of the municipality, I couldn't, in my good conscience, sign off on giving anybody a tax refund on property taxes, which is the main way that the township makes its revenue. That's how she got elected, because she was B minus, and then she turned left after. Yeah, because I did a video on that. When she was a trustee, she wasn't on the wrong side of most arguments from the arguments I looked at. I told y'all to do. Y'all let me know if y'all see a video out there of her as a trustee where she was on the wrong side of the argument. But a lot of times, the arguments she was making on the 7 to 10 videos I looked at, I was like, might be right. You probably don't want to use the rec center as a boom boom room. So, she appeared to be most on the right side. Yeah. Doesn't Tiffany own a few homes? Yeah, I know she had the one that was a slumlord. Yeah. No one would know who she is or Dalton if it wasn't for her horrible way of running this town. Committing crimes every week is something drastic going on. I agree 100% with you. sh- she put Dalton and the Thornton Township on the map for all the wrong reasons. And this terrible part is the clock is actually on the trustees and all of the people who got to vote in all these upcoming elections, really. Yeah. Let's see. You should interview Paul Roberts on your channel. He can clearly and succinctly explain the township surplus. Ah, interesting. Interesting. Shout out to you. And I am trying to coordinate a few interviews from some persons that I would think would provide a lot of value and would be interesting. So, hey, shout out to you for that comment. Let's see. Let's see. I disagree with you about her getting votes. Only her supporters are watching her. Everyone else is looking at the reactions of what she's saying. Most people who attend the meetings hate her. I mean, that's fair. I don't want to. Okay, that's a spoiler alert. We're gonna do a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm gonna break this down because I actually have to look at. And this is just. I'm speaking specifically for the village of Dalton, where she's mayor. All right. But I have a theory, but I have to find the voting information because I need to know what percentage of voters were seniors. I need to know the percentage of voters before I can make a conclusion on what I believe to be true. But here's my theory. I'm gonna give it to you. It's gonna be a more detailed video out once I get the voting information. But my theory is that one, we know that she's targeting. Here, hold on. Let me go ahead and I want to go ahead and let's get this out of the way while we touch on this real quick. One, she's clearly targeting favor from the population of people who just on average votes the most. Senior citizens. You want to know who vote? Old ass people. Hey, shout out to them. I want to grow and be old too. So and older than what I am with all the gray hair I got now. But she's targeting the population who likely votes more than any other age group, which is the seniors. That's point number one. So she's targeting the right people with her bingo and her giveaways and all of that stuff. Having the senior come on Cooking with Tiff and talk to Miss Geraldine about her recipe for meatloaf or whatever it was. Like, she's targeting the right audience, the people who vote the most. A lot of people, when it comes to elections, let's just keep it a buck. A lot of people talk shit but don't show up. We're gonna see it in this presidential election. A lot of people talk a lot of shit about who they hate and what they don't want to do, but will not get their ass up to go vote. Voting percentage numbers are low as hell, and normally the lower you go in age, the lower the voter turnout is. So she's targeting the right population. I think a lot of people are just going to be in the complaining, or I want to follow the story on social media, YouTube, but I'm really not going to get up off my ass and do shit. She has uh, uh, opponent running. I think it's the House dude is running against her for mayor, if I'm not mistaken. The only problem is that, according to reports, there are going to be more persons who are going to enter the race. If I was her, I talked about this in the video, I would actually get a political aardvark. All that is, if I was her and Jason House was running against me, I would say, hey, I would go to one of my boys who college educated, who from the village, who got a little swag, who people could probably get behind. And I would be like, yo, throw your name in a hat and run for office. I don't even want you to win. All I want you to do is siphon votes from this guy. So if my theory is, if the pool of candidates for mayor grows to more than just herself and Jason House, it's going to put her in a prime position where she actually may be able to legitimately win. That's just my theory. I know a lot of people hate her, but if you go and do a search on YouTube for Tiff, we kind of live in this bubble, because once you watch a video talk about seeing how terrible she is, or me breaking down the crimes she could be charged with, you kind of get the algorithm of, oh, they all hate this motherfucker. So they just like, yo, they gonna push all the, yeah, she's terrible content. But there's a lot of people out there who support her. She's targeting the right group of people. All she needs is a few more people to actually get in there in the race and dilute the voting pool, to dilute those votes. And I'm gonna be honest, as terrible as I hate to say, I think she will actually have some type of shot. That's, I don't know. That's my thought. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But I think that that's my argument. I just got to look at the voting data to confirm that that's true. Yeah, I agree with that comment 100%, Lisa. Hey, we've been hearing about this surplus for a while, but we don't have any receipts. And when it comes to her, you got to show me. Okay, the food pantry dude do security too. Keith Price is the food pantry guy and a security guy. Yeah, hence the reason why Carmen would have these issues. I knew it was something like that. I didn't know he was security too, or he was in charge of security. Man, shout out to food pantry guys. Like, nobody know who the food pantry guy in the city where I'm from at. Like, this dude became a household name. But yeah, they still got to figure out a way to go to these meetings. The more they don't attend and talk about security and nothing happens, is going to push the narrative in the favor of Tiffany Henyard. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Hey, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Hey, respect to your people who live in those areas who have to deal with this nonsense. Because I can't, I can't even imagine. I think it's going to be closer than we think. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or a landslide. That's just, I just don't think it's going to be like, yo, she lost. House got 82% of the votes, like, and she got 15, and then some other guy siphoned off that. I just don't think. I think it's going to be a lot closer. Let's see, who can talk and ramble on for nothing an hour and a half and not be on something. Hey, that's a fair point. She's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Glad to have you. She's the biggest crook. I don't know. I don't know about that. All major cities are terrible, but hey, that place is they got a unique group of politicians there. There have been no grants. The grants she's been talking about. I wonder if she was to win and become American, can she still get indicted? If she was to win, e- no, she can. If she was in the win, I mean, you can an indictment can you can be in the wind and get an indictment. So I definitely agree. I think I already told y'all my guess. I'm guessing that an indictment will probably come before the election. If the indictment didn't come, I'll tell you right now, if I was actually investigating this case and we weren't going to indict her before the election, I would actually want her to win so bad. I know that would be terrible for everybody, but just the I would love nothing more than to just be able to take her into custody and have all the media outlets there and just make it a big show. Since you like the spotlight on you, I'm gonna put the spotlight on you. But yeah, if she wins, she still could get indicted. I just don't see her. Yeah, she can still be indicted if she wins. So that's the answer to that is yes. Yeah, she's not in sheep's clothing. She's blatantly doing things. The fact remains she has a few positive traits that shine bright. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, everybody has something that some people would like about them, no matter how terrible the person is. All of y'all right now probably got a R. Kelly 12 play on y'all playlist in y'all car. We all generally agree that R. Kelly is probably not the greatest person, but we probably can all also agree that that TP2 album was fire. Mhm. I got the feeling that the feds are coming soon. I agree, Linda. I think I'm saying before the election, before February. I actually was think before the end of the year, but I mean, I would could not happen. I think it would happen before the end of the year. Let's see. Yeah. When the surplus don't add up, then she's going to blame Robert. I think it's a strategy to win votes. That's exactly what the term wolf in sheep clothing is. She has traits that people relate to. That's the sheep. The wolf is when she blatantly do it. 100, 100. Let's see. I would not buy a car from her. Well, we gonna talk about it because I'm gonna show y'all how stupid people are in a little bit later. She fraudulently got her ex-husband that towing contract when she was on the board. Her and Robert Hunt. Hey, shout out! People do that all the time, though. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's illegal, but it's common to. Hey, let me get this dude this contract so he could pay these child support payments or something like. I mean, that type of gamesmanship happen all the time. If the people do not come out and vote, for lack of a better term, they're walking into their own financial holocaust. I agree with that comment 100%. Shout out to you. Uh, it was going to require people to vote. Some people, I mean, it's sad, but some people just like they just don't like to show up. It is what it is. Now let's go ahead into the last portion of this video that we're gonna look at before we get on the important stuff, the landlord stuff. We're gonna go to the 1 minute, 1 hour mark. I can't believe this thing was this long. It wasn't no way. I was skipping around, and it's probably more here that I could talk about, but I just can't do it all in one setting. No, I get it. My head
Election
explodes. All right, let's go ahead. Let's put the view right there.
for a supervisor of Thornton Township, and that is also coming up for February. So make sure that you are prepared and ready to reelect this super mayor for both positions because they're up at the same time. That's what people are hating on. It's several people that have several seats, from senators to state reps to mayors to committeemen to everything under the sun. So, like I said, if the men could do it, why can't I? Why when it's me, the woman, and that's why I'm speaking to all the ladies. Why when it's us, it's a problem. It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when we do it. Y'all know the rest.
That was funny.
We
That was
gotta
witty.
make the
I like that
change
song.
that's needed. We gotta pave the way for what's coming next. It's our youth. No matter how people feel about them, they next. No matter how you feel about your bad kid, your kid bad. You cannot turn your back on them. Help them. If I'm still helping them, I'm the stranger. Why wouldn't you help them? And you're the parent. Don't mess them up mentally. Like, help them, man. I really care about people. And I hate when y'all turn y'all backs on y'all babies. They're going to make mistakes. That's life. We all make mistakes. Everybody. No one's perfect. But guess what? Y'all perfect for me. Only God can judge you. Nobody should be judging you off of whatever you've done. You answer to that man upstairs.
Did I make me?
So that's why I tell people, stop with the hate. Stop with the negativity. Your opinion does not matter. With hate, it doesn't.
Let me see.
What matters is the love and you pouring into one another. That's all I want for just communities. I want more love. Where's the love, guys? Love. Last but not least,
here it is.
Chris Gonzalez and Carmen the Liar. Stop playing with the residents of Thornton Township. We have things to do here. Come pay these bills. You have small mom and pop vendors on here. Like, let me tell you things they took out. Let me just tell you this nutball stuff. This is what I'm talking about. Calumet Bakery. Calumet Bakery has been a vendor forever at Thornton Township. This before me. This is what I be talking about with people. It's so much hate to me instead of you taking care of the job for Thornton Township. Take me out of the equation. What is the job that you're supposed to do? Pay the bills. And this is for senior events, just so people that's listening, you're aware. And that's them buying cakes when they go to a senior home, when they do a senior event, wherever, in anyone out of this Calumet City, Riverdale, or the South Highland location. They buy cakes. So they're not paying the cake vendor. And guess how much it is? $47 for a cake. Like, it makes no sense. Like I said, well, we got surpluses of millions. We playing with peanuts, crumbs.
Man, the trustees got to get to these fucking meetings, man. This shit is like, regardless of what alleged or confirmed criminal misappropriation, whatever conduct she got going on, this is going to sound like a great point to a lot of people. It's going to sound like a great point to the people who got actual mom and pop's business and like, damn, they're not even trying to pay the little guy like me. That's kind of fucked up. There's going to be a substantial amount of people who are going to hear this, and all they're going to take away, they're not going to say, well, you say it's this, show us the evidence. Most people, I actually had a conversation with people today about an election, and no one knew a policy for anybody. No one knew a policy for Trump. No one knew a policy for Harris. Everybody was just talking about what they heard on social media. I was just sitting there like, this got to be the most ignorant. Like, I was like, and I know some people don't care about politics, but me, I have to know what's going on. But a lot of people, the majority of the people aren't like, most people, you think most people actually went to Kamala Harris's website to look at what her agenda, proposal, and policies are? You think people actually went to Trump's website and looked at what his proposals and policies are? But most people get their fix of political information from YouTube, from TikTok, from whatever they see on their local news. So it's kind of a cold game, and she's closing this entire hour plus live stream when she really talked about nothing out the way that she probably should close it, by saying that, yo, y'all not getting business done and it's affecting people. So, I mean, I think the big takeaway from this is the trustees need to pull their heads out of their ass and figure out, okay, we have to reel her in by being able to have a quorum and the majority of votes. We can't keep sitting out on the sideline saying we don't feel safe and all this other shit, because that shit is just not sustainable. They maybe got one or two more meetings they can pull that off before it starts to look really sketch.
But you hurting the relationships that we have with vendors. So then people think that the township just don't pay their bills, and that's not the truth. You got certain board members that, like I said, are bought and that are influenced by outside interference.
All right, I'm done with her. Let me. I can't do it anymore. I was like, I'm done with her. All right, let me go ahead and hit up some of the comments, and then we're gonna jump into this last video, the cover topic. We're gonna talk about the eviction. I probably got an unpopular opinion, but we're gonna talk about it. I see it more as someone who's trying to hide who they really are. She's not trying to hide it. It's blatant. She's kind when she wants to be and kind of nasty to who she wants to be nasty to. I agree. Okay, we can agree to disagree. Hey, shout out to you for disagreeing. I definitely want hey, let's give you a round of applause for disagreeing. We can engage in nice a discord of information and some political banter. I still disagree because even the elderly aren't showing up to her events. The elderly are smarter than that. It may have worked before, but not this time. It's the older people who are at the meeting. Okay. Hey, shout out to you. You probably are more informed than I am with the pulse of what's going on in that community. So, hey, I'm I'm just giving my take at what I think could happen. I'm giving my take on if I was her, yeah, I would flush the mayoral candidates. I get two or three of my friends to run for any votes that you can siphon off of my opponent is probably going to be a plus. But I mean, I honestly want you to be 100% right. Like I want you to be 100% right because I would love no more than to see these communities and these municipalities get someone who's actually competent and who's not and that and who can do the job and actually look out for the best interests of the people. But I mean, I don't know, like landslide elections, barring some weird circumstances, don't happen too often. They do sometimes, but it's not the norm. Most elections you look at is they kind of neck and neck, kind of close. You know, got used from eating all that food in the pantry. That's funny. Will the DC City Councilman still win? No, I'm gonna actually do a considering that I'm a DC guy. I'm gonna actually do a follow up to that. He probably will still win though. I'm gonna just be honest. That dude, he got a little bit of Tiffany Henyard in him, far as how he talked and his ability to relate to people. I mean, I've met the guy on numerous occasions, and he has the gift of gab. He has a personality where you'd be like, man, that was a cool dude. I enjoyed talking with him. He's always visible, front line, front street in the community. So I'm gonna be honest. If he's I think he's still gonna win. That sounds crazy. I think he's still gonna win, but I just don't see what opposition they have. And I mean, it's people. This dude is on video camera putting an envelope full of money in his pocket with audio recordings and video and everything. And it's still people saying like, "Oh man, he got set up, or he got a bum deal, or yeah, he took a bribe, but he was trying to get crime off the street." People they just oblivious. They live in a little bubble. So I think he actually is still going to win. It's going to be interesting. I think he has a court date coming up next month. Young people don't vote. I know plenty of 30 somethings who have never been to a polling place, but the elderly will go and vote before they'll go to a doctor appointment. Hey, shout out to you because hey, I agree with that. I think hey, securing that senior vote is probably one of the best strategies you can have. Some seniors see through her, and there are some. I agree. I agree. They're all gonna. I pray that most people see through her and see what's going on. She has way too many negatives. Definitely, definitely. It appears AP. Shout out to you, brother. Uh, it appears that she perceives herself as having little to lose at this juncture. Consequently, she seems prepared to risk everything to maintain her salary and position of authority. Because we talked about this before on the channel. What else could Tiffany Henyard do outside of a political appointed or elected position where she would make $300,000 a year? And don't give me reality TV star or stripper pole. I already know that's the first two that everybody go to. Let's talk about not on the pole, not anything illegal, and not reality TV. Now she's trying to hit her Beyonce, all the single ladies. Stop it. The only reason why you shouldn't have it is because you are going to run the town into the ground. I agree. You pay for those cakes. She said the cakes are free, but people, they're definitely paying. She stole someone man and she is robbing her landlord. Tiffany ain't living a straight life. I agree this. Hey, well, hey, if somebody stole your man, hey, it is what it is. Hey, I don't let those things, even though it is indicative of a person not having the necessary greatest moral compass. But you could be terrible with a relationship, or a cheater, or a home wrecker, and still be good at your job. People do it all the time. Bill Clinton is one of the most beloved presidents in history. But yeah, we already know about that story. So, it is possible. Let's see. She requested a $4 million tax increase in March 2024. She didn't get it. So now handing out $2 million in rebates. And that's just for ploy. Oh, she hitting us with the Nino Brown. If I go down, we all going down. Yeah, they still got it. It was just a proposal that she putting on the budget. Yeah. Not. I'm just saying, man. Like, hey. Lisa, you always like, no. I'm saying, I'm trying to be objective here. If I would point out the flaws, I would point out. If I point out the bad things, I would point out the things that are like, okay, that is actually not dumb. There's a few things that she does that's that dumb. I hope the trustees write out a 60-day clock at the township. Let the people vote. She is a mistake due to being appointed. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about appointed. Like, even with judges, like, some states, judges are appointed, other judges are elected. Some states, when there's a vacancy, the judges are appointed, but under normal circumstances, they are elected. I'm typically not a fan of appointments, but I understand appointments to fill a vacancy that occurred during the middle of a term. But generally, y'all should probably vote, because voting is more indicative of the will of the people, in my opinion. Now let's go ahead and jump into our cover story, because this is why we all want to tune in, and for better.
Y'all know this is a smear campaign, right?
We gonna hold. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and lay the foundation real quick. Let me lay the foundation. All right, you got to lay the foundation before we introduce the evidence. All right. So we did a video about Tiffany Henyard, and she is being evicted from her place. Now we know that she has a combined salary of between her and her boyfriend. They make well over $300,000 a year. So there was some discussion we had back and forth on if she's broke. Do you think she's a good steward of her money? Do you think she's a Dave Ramsey budget person, or she's just out there burning through a bag? I think it's probably the latter, not the former. I think she's terrible with the municipality's money, and I'm assuming that she's probably also terrible with her money. But let's go ahead and watch this video, and we're going to talk about this situation, what's weird about it, how her tax rebate is kind of implicated in this story, and we're going to talk about whose fault is it that someone is not getting their rent. We're going to talk about it because y'all probably going to disagree with me. Lisa. All right, let's go ahead and jump in and dive into this story.
Y'all know this is a smear campaign, right? Smear campaign. That's what they do to people that they cannot control, that they cannot get out the way.
In battle, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, in a rambling Facebook video nearly 90 minutes long, she posted that as she's facing more trouble.
She and her boyfriend are being evicted from the house they rent in Dalton. Together, the couple makes more than $300,000, according to public payroll records. But their landlord says they're not paying the rent. She talked with Dane Placco.
Initially, I didn't want to go on camera, but right now I feel like I'm at wit's end. I have nowhere else to turn.
Janetta Hull says she considered Tiffany Henyard a friend and even did campaign work for the Dalton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor. But things changed in 2021 when she was about to rent out this 3-bedroom, 2-bath home she owns in Dalton to a family and got a late-night call from the mayor.
And she's like, hey, this is Mayor Henyard. And I'm like, hi. And then she's like, I heard that you were renting your house. And I said, yeah. And I said, I have somebody that's moving in soon. And she says, no, they can't move in because I want it. And I'm like, excuse me?
Feeling pressured, Hull says she agreed to rent the house to Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, who holds a 6-figure job at the township. Henyard signed the original lease, and on the line asking about her job.
You see here, she only put mayor for employment.
Henyard makes nearly $300,000 as mayor and township supervisor, but is the focus.
Excuse me?
Let me run this real quick. I'm gonna run this real quick because I'm gonna pause it right here. It's only a few points I want to make, but I want to make sure y'all hear this. It's around the 1 minute mark. Let's pay attention here. Then I'm gonna pause it and talk.
Home she owns in Dalton to a family and got a late night call from the mayor.
And she's like, hey, this is Mayor Henyard. And I'm like, hi. And then she's like, I heard that you were renting your house. And I said, yeah. And I said, I have somebody that's moving in soon. And she says, no, they can't move in.
All right, let's just pause it right there. She actually had somebody who was set to move in. I gather from this that she had some. If someone's set to move in, you're probably talking about lease agreement is signed, maybe the upfront money, first and last month's rent were due. She actually had someone who was already set to move in. Tiffany Henyard gave her a call and said, no, you don't. And she expressly said, and just said, okay, all right. Maybe this is just me, okay? I believe in if you screw somebody else over and then you subsequently get screwed over, you kind of laid the foundation for getting screwed over. You had a family who was already there. They already probably agreed to whatever your rent was. And at the last minute, you're like, you know how fucking pissed I would be? So let's just, and the other thing is you say you're Tiffany Henyard's friend. This happened in, I think, 2021, whenever it happened. It clearly happened after Tiffany Henyard was already in the news for essentially being a slumlord. So there's already a story about someone who you say is your friend, you help on your campaign, who wouldn't use her own money to take care of her property where other people were living there. You had a tenant already in line for your property, and you said, you know what, I'm a renege on them, so to speak, and say y'all can't move in favor of my friend who can move in, even though my friend has a track record and not even wanting to use her money to fix up her own shit. What make you think she's going to do right by you? So, hey, I'm not saying Tiffany Henyard is in the right for not paying rent. She signed a lease. She has an obligation to pay. But I am saying is, yo, you kind of screwed somebody who thought they already had a place lined up in exchange for her. And you had all the signs there to know that this probably wasn't the best person to rent your property to, but you did it for whatever reason. That's just my take. I know it sounds crazy, but if I call you and say I got somebody who's about to move in, and I say, nah, don't do that because I want to move in. The first thing I'm gonna say, I know I have rental property. That's not something I wouldn't do. I'd be like, nah, I already got somebody in, you know. Maybe if I got something else or I know something else, is something else, I can redirect you there. But I'm not going to have an agreement in principle with this family and then say, okay, now I'm going to kick them to the curb so you can come in. So you had ample evidence that she probably didn't do the right thing with her money because she should have fixed up her fucking rental. You reneged on the family who looked like they was moving in order to get Tiffany Henyard in. And now that she did what I think most of us probably could have guessed that she did, especially you as her friend being from the area. You already know the news feed. Hey, she got you. Am I wrong? Is that a wrong position that I'm taking? I know y'all probably disagree with me. I'm not saying Tiffany Henyard is right, but I am saying that, lady, you deserve some of the blame. You had a tenant right in hand who probably would have been paying that shit, would have paid the extra couple of $100, and you wouldn't even been in this situation. But you made the choice to bounce on them and bring her in. It's a self-inflicted wound. in my personal opinion. Self-inflicted wound. But let's go ahead and see if she actually gives a reason. Let's give a reason. Let me go ahead and finish, cooking it up in the kitchen on this one. I know unpopular opinion. Let me go ahead and finish this video because there's a couple other points, and then y'all can yell at me, Lisa. Then y'all can yell at me about how y'all disagree. But you aren't. You have some culpability in this too, because you already had a tenant in play who probably wouldn't have screwed you over, and you elected to do it. Now let's see what her reason is for selecting Tiffany Henyard over the other tenant.
And I said, yeah. And I said, I have somebody that's moving in soon. And she says, no, they can't move in because I want it. And I'm like, excuse me?
Feeling pressured, Hull says she agreed to rent.
That's cap. I think that's cap. Feeling pressured, Hall says she agreed to let her in. What was the pressure? You on the news, these guys telling this story are trained professionals at asking questions. I ask a lot of fucking questions. I'm an attorney by trade. That's what I do. These guys in the media are trained professionals. You don't think they would have asked the question, well, why did you feel pressured? What did she say? What did she offer you in excess? I don't believe that you're here telling everything else about the story. You talked about how you had someone who's supposed to move in and you gave them the bump for Tiffany Henyard. You're going to talk later on about how she wrote down just mayor as her employment, but you didn't go into detail and they didn't ask a question in the detail about why or how you felt pressure. If the only thing that Tiffany Henyard said is what you're saying, no, you don't. Let me move in because I want to move in. If you consider that pressure, you don't know what pressure is. But I'm calling cap on the fact that she got some type of pressure. I don't know. Like, pressure to me is like, I need some substantiated evidence that there was some real pressure. I don't hear anything that was pressure. And if there was pressure, the next question from anybody who's worth their salt in the media should be like, well, what made you feel pressure? Because she said, no, you don't. If that's what made you feel pressure, that's not fucking pressure. Now, what's pressure? Like, yo, come on, man. You gotta go ahead and give me that place. If not, I'm gonna have I don't know, the cops of Dalton outside of your place putting tickets on your car every third Wednesday. Pressure. This, I have no evidence of pressure. The only thing that the media said is feeling pressure. She on here explaining everything else, but didn't explain why she felt pressure. I don't know. But let's finish watching this. It's getting hot in here. It's cooking up in the kitchen. Let's finish watching. But I think that's cap on pressure.
And I'm like, excuse me?
Feeling pressured, Hull says she agreed to rent the house to Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, who holds a six-figure job at the township. Henyard signed the original lease, and on the line asking about her job.
You see here, she only put mayor for employment.
Henyard makes nearly $300,000 as mayor and township supervisor, but is the focus of an ongoing FBI investigation for extravagant spending, questionable contracts, and using tax dollars for personal gain. Hull says things started to unravel this summer when she was forced to raise the rent by $200 to $2,400 a month because her property taxes went up again.
Now, I will tell you, $200 rent increase is wild. $200 rent increase is wild. That's higher than what I pay in rent. And I'm sure my house look better than that, and I'm in a much more expensive city. But $200 rent increase is wild. Like, more, that's a lot. I ain't gonna lie, that's a lot. For $2,200 to $2,400. I'm not saying it's outside of what the norm is, considering this environment, but that is a lot, I think.
So with that, I had to equate that into the rent. And Kamal said that he couldn't afford it.
She says Henyard and Woods refused to pay the extra rent in August, then stopped paying altogether.
Did they pay for September?
No.
Did they pay for October?
No.
That's why you're trying to get them removed?
Yes.
Hull says not only are the couple thousands of dollars behind in rent, but they also changed the locks and garage door code, so she can't get inside.
If I pushed and go over there with the locksmith and try to change them back, I think that she's going to probably have me arrested.
Yeah, I did them squatter videos. Tiffany Henyard squatting on this girl property.
Hull went to court and filed an eviction lawsuit against Henyard and Woods. But Cook County sheriffs have tried and failed to serve that suit, both at the home and Village Hall. Now Hull is paying a process server to track one of them down.
What position does this put you in?
A very hard position. I'm between a rock and a hard place. I haven't worked in several months, and I am fearful that I may lose the house.
She says Henyard blocked her months ago, but with all the controversy surrounding Henyard's spending of tax dollars, she wants to send the mayor a message.
At some point, you would have to understand that karma is going to catch up to you.
Isn't that what happened to you? You kicked the family out who thought they had an agreement to move into a place to let your friend in who you probably had clues probably wasn't the best person to rent it to. And now you want karma to catch up to her. Karma's catching up to you. That's just how it goes. Like, could you imagine you got your family and you ready to move into a place and you got the deal sealed like, yo, we moving in next Wednesday, 2 weeks from now, we locked up and they back out at the last minute. That shit is devastating. The whole process of having to go find a new place, scrambling with the kids, man. I'm gonna be honest, like, yo, you on here telling your sob story, but I felt like this is a self-inflicted wound that you could have avoided, you didn't, and now karma's coming back on you, so you want karma to come back on her. Like, I mean, that's my take.
Just pay your rent.
She says even if Henyard and her boyfriend come up with that money, she still wants them out of her house, which is on a month-to-month lease. We reached out to the couple and Henyard's criminal defense attorney, but so far have not received a response. Dane Placco, Fox 32.
Hey, that's my take. Let's go ahead and jump in the comments real quick. She's no better than Tiffany. How you gonna give the house to Tiffany when you know you got somebody else getting ready to move in? You deserve what happened to you. Yo, shout out to you for being a real one. I haven't heard anybody making that point. That was, shout out to you. That was all I heard, Tony. When I listened to that video, I just thought was like, yo, you had somebody who was about to move in, and you bumped them so she can move in, and now you mad that she's not paying your rent? Get the I don't know, man. And I'm not saying that, yo, you have an obligation to pay your rent. I can tell the fact that they're in a month-to-month lease. I'm not sure of the laws in their state per se, but normally when someone's in a month-to-month lease is because they had a lease agreement for a certain term, maybe a year or 2 years, and then that lease never got renewed. So a lease is implied from the conduct. You pay rent, I collect it. You pay rent, I collect it. So normally, if your normal term lease expires and then y'all just keep going through the you pay rent, I collect it transaction, the court is going to imply a month-to-month lease based on those that implied conduct of paying rent and receiving rents. So that's what I'm saying probably happened, but I don't know. I just don't. I'm not feeling her being on TV giving this sob story. You don't like. You know who should be sobbing? The family who got ousted for all of this to happen to you. But again, I'm not saying Tiffany Henyard isn't at fault. Yes, she is. Yes, she should have paid her rent. It makes it. I will tell you, in all fairness, when you're in that month-to-month lease, it does make it more difficult for the person living to adjust or deal with an increase of any rents. Because normally when you got a term lease at the end of 12 months, at the end of 12 months, once you renew that lease or that lease expires, it's probably going to go up 10%, 15% or what have you. So you know when to pay it. But if you month to month, month number 1, month number 2, month number 3, and at any point they say, oh, my stuff went up, so now I got to increase it, you kind of get blindsided because as a renter, you know that property taxes and insurance go up every year, but you kind of put that on autopilot because you're just used to paying this money. So I can see how a $200 increase on a month to month, because you don't know when it's going to come. That $200 could have came in month 2, month 6, month 9. The tenant has no clue of knowing, hey, your rents are going up $200 from, month 6 to month 7. That being said, they make a shitload of money, so fucking $200, $200 extra should be an easy thing to pay. But yo, I agree, man. I think she brought a lot of this on herself. She probably wanted to go a foreclosure so that she and her man could buy the house for much less than his. Hey, shout out to you. That's a good comment, and it's not outside of the realm of possibility. It's not outside the realm of possibility considering the people who we're dealing with. And it sounds like she's going through some hardships of her own. She said that she's unemployed. So now you're unemployed. You need these rents, and I'm assuming you need these rents because she still has to pay the mortgage on this property. So hey, I used to be a guy who wanted a bunch of rental properties. Now I don't even want the ones I got. I sell them probably the first chance I get. Not right now because the market ain't really too popping. But not shocking. Now she's in a pickle because she don't have a job and she got this mortgage and she not getting the rent. Like, woe is you. But that's kind of how it goes. You wanted to over leverage yourself by having this property. You could have sold the property, cashed out the money, put it in the bank, and kept it moving. Property taxes in Dalton are expensive. Are absolutely crazy. My mortgage is like $2,200, and I just got an escrow analysis done, and my taxes and insurance went up, so my mortgage goes up $47 in January. So yeah, the whatever they paying in Dalton is crazy expensive. Just because people do it all the time. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm just not a fan of an agreement is an agreement is an agreement to me. Like if I say, yo, we got an agreement and you moving in, and even if I get a better offer, I already agreed to it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a sucker. You know what I mean? But that's kind of once we agree on something, once we shake on it, and we have an actual contract, it is what it is. Yeah, I agree. Feeling the pressure, Tony. I agree. I agree with you. The lady was starstruck with Tiffany. She didn't do the right thing. The news will manipulate the story to make Tiff look bad. They probably added in the pressure part. Yeah, the pressure part just didn't make any sense. Like you're a media outlet. You're a news professional who's been doing this, a journalist who's been doing this for years. If someone said, "Yeah, I felt pressure," the very first thing you're gonna ask is, "How so? How did you feel pressured? What was done? What were the circumstances around it?" So again, not saying that Tiffany Henyard should be paying it. She has enough. She earns enough to pay it. I don't know if she has enough money to pay it, but she earns enough to pay it. It could be some. Hey, she might be willing to snatch it up at foreclosure because if the house going foreclosure, this lady probably not going to be buying it back, considering she can't even cover the mortgage and she had been out of work for 2 months. Over leverage, man. Big Tiff is going to prison, so month to month makes sense. That's true. That's true. Let's see. Tiffany wasn't her friend. Tiffany knew that this woman wanted to get in good with her. Now that she was mayor, so she could use that to her advantage. Thus, she didn't pay the rent. Shows the lack of respect. That's a good point. That's a good point. It could have been some. It's possible that it could have been some promises made or quid pro quo. Like, yo, if you do me this solid, I'll do you that solid. And Tiffany Henyard did exactly what you did to those other people who thought they was going to move in. They didn't hold up she didn't hold up her end of the bargain the same way you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. It is what it is. Yeah. I bet she wish she had that family in that house now. I guarantee you 100%. 100%. But I don't know, man. I just think like I saw that story and I saw a couple of videos. I think I saw O'Shea Duke Jackson do a video on that story, and everybody was like missing the point. I was like, the point ain't this lady up here crying. The point is this lady kind of got what she deserved because she did somebody dirty. Now somebody did you dirty. As the world turns, it is what it is. But I think that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just a channel update. Like I said, moving forward, Wednesdays and Fridays around 9:30, 10. And even y'all know I like to do the night stuff. It's just easier. Those going to be dedicated time for live streams. I still do something impromptu if something pop up, but we're going to try to target Wednesday night and Friday nights for the dedicated live streams. Anything else come in between that, it's just going to be, something that we just do on a humble. Shout out to everybody who subscribed to the channel, everybody participated in the chat. Shout out to the members too, people who are members of the channel. I'm going to do 1 or 2 live streams a month. I may start out with one starting in November to see how it goes. But I'm going to do maybe 1 or 2 a month where it's just a members only live stream. And then we'll talk about, I got a lot of topics I want to talk about that I really don't get a chance to cover. And it takes a kind of while. So we'll probably talk about those. And plus I give y'all opportunity to dial up, dial in, do a little bit of Q&A. Y'all won't be on camera, but we will hear your voice. And you could do a little Ask an Attorney so we could talk about these trending topics and get things going. Let me go ahead and check out these last few comments before we get out of here. Yeah, I agree. That's a fair point. Trustee just got a forensic auditor. Tiffany has been trying to do things without a budget. We talked about the forensic auditor. The problem with the auditor is going to get challenged from either side. The forensic auditor is needed. The question is, how can we confirm that the forensic auditor is going to be an uninterested third party who's going to call it down the middle? So that's going to be interesting. To the family that was supposed to get the house, be glad you didn't have to face that $200 increase as well. It's called karma. Yo, I appreciate all y'all for tuning in. Y'all take care. Have a good night. Be blessed. Peace, family.